Meddy, Jacques. She will be sharing her story with us. And this is something I've been waiting to hear because I've been looking into with Father's Day, the divine masculine and things. So I'm very looking forward to this. Meddy is a kind, loving human being. She's Reverend of the Spark of Divinity with her husband Jeff and usher Pat. She's a gifted healer medium, also with her husband. And she loves gardening, anything with scales on it, I believe. Some things without scales, I believe also. And I believe you're a student of life. So we look forward to you sharing this thing.
Yes, there are some people that are the cat lady. I am more the lizard lady. That's okay too. So, I'm very honored to be speaking here today, and hopefully everything has integrated itself, because many of you know anthropology is my thing. Philosophy is my husband's thing. That's too much thinking about thinking. And for me, anthropology, looking at humans, the study of humans, all that we do, all that we create, all that we believe, the values that we hold, it's something that's really dear to me. And so when I was asked, would you like to speak this month on the divine masculine? The answer was an immediate yes. For many of you, following on Facebook, if you have seen my profile picture, it is a very precious photo that of myself with my father on my first wedding day. And I was, while that marriage may not have worked, I got that experience with my father. And it is us looking at each other in the eyes and just having that moment together. Because he didn't make it to my second wedding, or my third. And he was only there for another 2 years after that. And while I could definitely speak on that relationship, the relationship with my father for Father's Day, that's just my experience. And the experience of the divine masculine is something that is universal. Very different situations, but truly the same experience. And so while I will not be speaking on fatherhood directly, we can define that masculine spirituality, the divine masculine, the sacred masculine, as that father being within each of us, male, female, and anything in between. So the most difficult aspect of this teaching is where to start. So let's begin at our beginning. We were all born of a mother. And while we think, what does that have to do with our masculine aspects? We became an individual when we were born. That individuation is very traumatic, very traumatic. We were one being with another, and then we became a separate entity. And how did we announce that? We cried. It is very traumatic for all of us, all creatures that are born. However, they come into the world. So within this lifetime, we know we have already suffered trauma from that first breath. We know that somehow, some way, as humans, not necessarily always in lizards, or frogs, but with humans, there was a male and there was a female to create. Now I want you to think of the concept of an egg. We've all seen a chicken egg. Is it an egg, a male or a female?
It's half.
It's neither. It's absolutely neither, right? A sperm. Yes, we can say sperm. It's okay. It's not a dirty word. But a sperm is the determinant of whether that egg will develop as a male or a female. But is the sperm male or female? And we forget that concept, that we became one from two cells, that we're neither male or female. Right? That's backed with our biology lessons. But it's important to think about, because we think about these separateness. But to be alive, to be here, these two pieces had to become one. And I'll talk a little bit more in a bit about that. So we come into this world, we cry. And while there may have been some cherished memories, a warm and healthy relationship with our Father, there's also just as many people who've had painful and traumatic feelings of resentment, anger, loss, and more with their fathers. Our experiences during childhood with the masculine, whether the result of direct interactions with men, especially our father figures, however they come into our lives, with our teachers, characters on TV, and political figures, may have shaped our thinking of masculinity as toxic, the source of disrespect, harsh discipline, abuse, violence, wars. And because I've worked with high school students quite a bit lately, according to dictionary.com, toxic masculinity is defined as a cultural concept of manliness that glorifies stoicism, strength, virility, and dominance, and that is socially maladaptive or harmful to mental health. From theologian Matthew Fox's book, The Hidden Spirituality of Men, 10 Metaphors to Awaken the Sacred Masculine, he says, currently, male means winning, being number one in sports, business, politics, academia, going to war, kill or be killed, being rational, not emotional, boys don't cry, and embracing homophobia, a fear of male affection. Male means domination, lording over others, whether it's nature, one's own body, women, or others. And this form of masculinity reveals itself in empire building, in witch burning, inquisition and crusades, in banishing of the goddess and the divine feminine, in making a scapegoat of pleasure and sexuality. So if we consider that toxic masculinity, which is pretty much on the forefront, especially when we all talk about, we need the rise of the divine feminine. She's always been there. We just need a lessening of the toxicity of the male. Common forms of conditioning that many of us received regarding masculinity include: men must not express their emotions. They have to be stoic. Men must have a successful career. Oh, a man that stays home to raise the children? What's wrong with him? Men must be the head of the household, which also includes financially. Men are logical and left-brain oriented. Men have to be interested in sports to be a man. Men are the saviors of women and children, and they're typically just victims. Men must dominate women physically, sexually, and career-wise. Men need to be aggressively self-confident. And men must look strong and have big muscles. But is that truly what makes a man a man? I would think not. I know in my own personal life, the divine masculine that my husband holds has nothing to do with his ability to pick it up and put it down. For me, it's very convenient that he can reach everything. But it is his deep affection for our pets, and our children, for his flowers, that define that caring that is so necessary to be a protector. That, for me, shows exactly what the divine masculine is all about. Examining our own experiences and conditioning, the social conditioning, helps us uncover our unconscious beliefs, our biases, and our prejudices that we have towards men, that we then push over to understanding the divine masculine, which really have nothing to do with one another. It's just our current society. And unfortunately, our current society has gone on for a couple thousands of years. But these negative emotions can affect so many aspects of our life and our health. And this can be seen with the imbalance in our own energetic being, our chakra centers, by repressing that divine masculine that we believe must be toxic within ourselves due to trauma or emotional wounds. The imbalance then filters out in our relationships with others, other people, our environment, our activities, and with substances like food, drink, and material goods. So if we're constantly bombarded with the fallacy that masculinity is toxic, how do we relearn the sacredness? How can we begin to heal the imbalance in our culture where the able-bodied, English-speaking, straight, white male continues to be the norm against which everything else is measured? To say more about how all of us, not related to our biological sex or gender identity and expression, have both masculine and feminine aspects in diverse combinations of maleness and femaleness, of masculinity and femininity, which has nothing to do with our flesh or our genetics. With every yin, there's a yang. The divine masculine has a counterpart, the divine feminine. The two energies work together to create the balance in the universe. So both the divine masculine and the feminine are present everywhere we look, including within. Yesterday, I was at a strawberry festival in Woken, and a friend of mine made a yin and yang shirt. And I thought, oh, not only that, it's pink and blue. Woo! So, but when we think about yin and yang, most of us have all seen that representation, typically within a circle. But when we look at that, we realize, and I love how the tie-dye works together. We think of yin and yang as two separate pieces. And yet when we realize they're not separate, they're just complementary to each other. They're constantly moving and evolving and changing. One, I don't like the word, but chases the other. And we continue to move around in that fashion. It's how we move forward. So if we think about all of these understandings of yin and yang, that classic image that seems separate, but yet it's one being. We have that black dot in that center. We have that yin in the yang in the yin. Always encapsulated and enclosed, always moving, always changing. This is a 2D static image, but life is not that way. If we think about how that all works together, if we think about who we are, and I like my props. We have two pieces and parts. And one of you may, see, and I like this one because it's got the little dot. You might say, this is the phallic symbol, this is the male, and this is the female. However, that's not true either. We have been conditioned to say, this is the phallic symbol, this is male, this is round and soft, this is the feminine. But what if I told you everything that you learned about that is absolutely incorrect? Pretty much most of our lives, right? And it takes a little while to learn that. But if we think about this yin and yang being, the 2D, and then we go to more of a 3D image, it's constantly moving and evolving. Here with the two different colorations, my son, the geologist, would correct me exactly what it is that these pieces and parts are. But it's constantly moving. And if we moved it along the floor, it just continues to go. And you're certainly welcome to pass it around and see it. It has some great energy. But this yin and yang is a contrast, not an absolute, not one or the other. They're identified by their characteristics relative to one another. Again, you cannot identify yin without knowing something is yang. And then, I do have my list. Keep me straight. So all of you know, we could be here for a few days. But I'm going to show this copper pipe again. One of the teachings that I really, really appreciate is through William Whitecloud and then Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan teaches magnetic mind. And if we think about a stick, okay? If we pick up a stick and we say, this end is the feminine end and this end is the masculine end. When we pick up the stick, what are we carrying? Both. Can we pick up the female and not the male? We can leave them on the floor if we want, but we're still holding the same thing. Just perhaps slightly different pieces of the same. So if we think about our yang and our yin, we have our masculine and our feminine. We have our hot, we have our cold, we have our warm, we have our cool, we have our active, we have our passive, we have our light, we have our dark, we have our dry, we have our moist, we have our night, we have our day, motion and rest, heaven and earth, expansive and contracting, outward and inward. Only when I'm here am I in balance. Yes, it may go up and down just a bit, but when I'm out here, I'm so far apart, I can't understand what the other is saying. I feel too much difference. We feel hot. We want to be somewhere in that middle ground, and life is about middle ground. Finding that masculine end and seeing how it contrasts with the feminine is how we can understand the divine masculine, how we can find that sacredness in our own life. Because we look at what is past and future. The only thing that matters is the present, the balance in the present. We teach that whole idea of when we stand, we shouldn't lean to one side or the other, to the feminine, to the masculine. We shouldn't lean to the past. We shouldn't worry about the future. If we're solid in our stance, if we stand in this motion, this time, we have the ability to step forward in balance. That's what the divine masculine teaches us. To step forward, yet we must be in balance. Everything must be in balance in our lives. Yes, there's going to be times when you have to be more active and more assertive. And I laugh at the idea of the feminist movement. The whole idea of feminist movement is what? Divine masculine pressing forth. Doesn't mean that it's toxic. And that's where we find the difference. Having the action that finds better balance. Having that understanding that all things in nature have masculine and feminine qualities. When we have that individuation, we find ourselves when we're around 4, around 5, when we have to go to school, we have to separate. We find ourselves as a teenager wanting to separate even further. And then in our 20s, and then in our 50s. You know, It's not we do it once and we stop. But this idea of individuation continues on well into our young 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We learn how to become truly sacred with our time, to be active and rest, to feed ourselves better as we go on. And you don't have to wear heart monitors. To learn what it is that makes us who we are. Again, our gender doesn't matter. Our biological sex does not matter. It's not about our parts. It's about our heart. It's about our minds. It's about our choices. It's about releasing the old wounds and the old conditioning that say, this is this and that is that. And finding somewhere in that mix the beauty of putting it all together, of learning something new. So again, I could speak forever, and all of you know that. I think just about everybody in here knows how well I could speak. But I want you to just, if you would, embrace this, and up to you, but I encourage you to gently close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to think about, what does it mean to be sacred, masculine, within yourself? Your experience is definitely different than mine. Your circumstances are definitely different than mine. And I want you to go back and think deep, deep, deep as you go back what your first beautiful, welcome experience is with someone male. Something that makes you happy, where you feel protected and safe. Go back to that first experience of feeling loved, of feeling heard, feeling supported. And take that nice deep breath in. And remember that moment. This is the sacred masculine that embraces you, that loves you. This is Father Sky, that was later turned into the Sky Father. Allow yourself to breathe in that beauty of love and protectedness. And taking a nice deep breath, carry this image with you today on Father's Day. To know that the divine masculine, the divine Father is here with you, supporting you, loving you, challenging you, pushing you forward to do your best, whatever that might be. Breathing in. Ask yourself, what is it that I need to do to heal my systems? Any part of my systems that harbor anger or shame or fear, any resentment that sparks pain from my conditioning and traumas. How can I let go of aggression to simply display strength, love, and support for someone else? Breathing in, think about how you can heal your wounded child within you that needed validation and approval and may not have received it. How you can heal the parts of you, the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual aspects that may have been wounded by a man, even if you don't remember. Breathing in and out. Heal the toxic aspects of yourself that you try to numb through distractions and your addictions. whatever they may be. Breathe in and out and let go of those pains. Heal yourself with intentional activity and flexible movement, of individual exercise, and the consuming of nutrient-rich foods. Breathe in and out the love and connectedness. Breathing in your own mind, repeat. The sacred way is inclusive, connected, and recognizes the oneness of all life, and I am part of it. Breathing in, breathing out, coming back to this moment. So be it. Aho. Shalom. Amen. Thank you for letting me speak.